Hey everyone, welcome to the 144th ClariTea Chat, within which this is the 40th AMA edition. Ask me anything, ClariTea Chat. So let me start with a story. Sometime back in our society group, a Marathi newspaper article was shared. Now, I don't know Marathi, so I uploaded the image on ChatGPT. Let me share with you. And asked me to give me a summary. Bingo, I got what I wanted to drive a conversation with my neighbors when I meet them in the lift, but still, that's like driving a Maruti AI. Okay. So, um, well, here is the summary for you. Okay. It gave me a good summary, right? Okay. Now, from my own experiments, I've realized that we all have the AI Ferrari now. Okay. But we learned Google Wali Maruti. So we are happy to use it as a Scorpion. We're very happy. Okay. Maruti se Scorpio mil gaya. But if you want to go farther and faster and differentiate yourself, you need to learn to drive this Ferrari, right? So you can't just drive the Ferrari with the training of Maruti, right? Now, our last session was a panel on enterprise AI, and it generated a huge interest. And one of the sections that generated good interest was when the panel members shared how they use AI in personal, in their personal life. And it clearly showed that our audience wants more actionable AI-focused conversations on ClariTea Chat. Well, I have experimented with AI in real world to build complex strategies, overcome challenges, and build flock and go better and faster. Learning how to leverage it without losing sight of the business priorities or without getting flooded by it. I've used assessing my own behaviors to keep it on track, remain in control, reduce verbosity. I'm sure all of you can connect with that. It just throws just too much of text on you, and be more curious and ask better questions. So this session is a master class on practically using AI, and it's not a prompt engineering class. We will use AI in real time to have fun with you. Our rich discussions will cover being in control. So we'll start with some settings on AI. I'll share with you the golden question I use, and to whoever I have told about this, they have like been amazed by the results. Wait for it. AI as a strategy coach, I will share some examples with you of building. I will share some of the stuff that I have done with it using, for building different strategies for Flock and Go. Diagnosing your worries with AI. Well, a lot of people use AI for diagnosing their health. I have used it, but there are some guardrails I'll share with you. The next is critical thinking with AI. This is very important because AI can be a good chamcha, flatterer for you, okay? And then, of course, setting boundaries, right? So we'll discuss all of these through my own case studies. I have created a separate folder in my, as you can see, I've created a separate folder as ClariTea Chat, picking out very specific use cases. And as you all know, ClariTea Chat is all experiences, no gap. Now, before I go forward, let me acknowledge our audience. Okay. We have CXOs, founders, IT managers, and seasoned technology leaders in our audience. All of us know technology is necessary, but not sufficient to drive business performance. And the guests on ClariTea Chat have built the bridge between the necessary and sufficient with the art of managing technologies. ClariTea Chat builds the bridge between their learnings and all of you. Every one of you out here is trying to make an impact with technology, right? Whether it's in your personal life or in your business or in your professional life. So thank you all for joining us for the last 143 episodes. We have been running these since June 2021, and this is the 6th year. So let's see who we have here, guys. Whoever had joined, please share your names and where you're joining from with us in your comment box of YouTube or LinkedIn. Otherwise, it feels a little lonely here because I'm talking to a computer screen and a camera. So please send in your names and when you're joining from. So let us start with the first topic, which is being in control, right? So it is about two things. One is how you control the output and how you are not derailed with too much knowledge, and be clear about your own explicit requirements, right? Being clear and explicit with your requirements. Okay. So let me bring up the screen again. Let's start with certain um, settings in ChatGPT. So if you go to your name here, it will bring up settings. I'm using a second screen here. Let's first go to personalization. Okay. Now here you see you can choose different styles here. You have professional, friendly, candid, quirky, efficient, nerdy, cynical. Okay. And well, you can change these styles before any chat. I prefer candid. Sometimes I prefer cynical as well. As soon as I see that, I find any hints of flattery, or like, it's not challenging me, it's not criticizing my viewpoint, I change it to cynical, right? So that's about the style. Well, there are other things also, like, characters warm. You want it more warm or less warm? I want less warm. I want it to be like absolutely professional with me. I want it to be less enthusiastic. Okay, very, very business-like. Headers and lists, I want more paragraphs and less lists and bullets. And I don't want emojis in my professional conversations. Okay. So now if you see, there is a custom instruction also. Since I do a lot of my strategy chats with it, my custom instructions to it is, please be creative and literally thinking about ideas. Be short and paragraph like. Use grounded language. Don't use flowery AI-ish words. Let's write paragraphs, not bullets. Let's use conversational language and tone. Use as much of my original words as possible. Now, this is sort of, you can say it's a sort of global, prompt, which kind of percolates to all your chats with it. Okay. I can tell it more about me. Now, this is the setting. So what happens is that you are setting some global context with AI, right? This is, now remember, we are talking about being in control, right? Being in control is um, to restrict it to as much of your, to restrict it, personalize it to as much of your stuff, being very, very focused on you. So I have given it my profile link, so it knows who I am. I am talking about, I mean, since I use it most of the time for Flock and Go, I have given it some very, very detailed, stuff about Flock and Go. So whenever I talk about it, Flock and Go to it, it knows what I'm talking about, right? Okay. If you see message memories, okay, so let's look at what is there in advanced. Okay. Yeah, web search, automatically search the web. Yes, automatically search the web. Um, okay, more natural conversations in voice. Yes, we have had some fun with the voice also, though it's not part of today's this thing, right? So let's go back to settings again. Okay, okay, keep editing. I have to press a save. Okay, now let's go back to, there's something else here, which is data controls, right? Now, again, it is important, as I said, being in control, right? So improve the model for everyone. Now, my focus with using uh, chat gpt is primarily business, and since I'm building Flock and Go, it's a startup, and I'm aware not many people would know about it. I want AI to learn about Flock and Go, right? So I have kept the this as on. That means, when I talk about it to Flock and Go, I'm hoping it does include it back in its models, right? However, if you're having a private chat, anything related to health, etc., etc., health relationships, there's a lot you can do here. Switch it off, right? Yeah, use audio recordings to train the models. Yeah, of course, right? And let's, okay. So this is about settings. Now, uh, okay, let us go back to our chats. Where are those? Okay, I can't see them. What happened? Okay, so now here we are, right? Now sometimes you can also use, since I engage with ChatGPT a lot for Flock and Go, and I have kept my data settings as public. I typically don't do any too private a conversation on ChatGPT. So I use Gemini for that, and I use a very different account for that. Okay, so that's like another one of being in control. You can use multiple of them. By the way, whatever I'm sharing with you in this session, it is actually applicable. These hacks or these, I would say my experiments, I've done them on multiple tools. I've used them on ChatGPT, Gemini, as well as Perplexity, and they work on all of them, right? Okay. So now let's go to another one of being in control, right? So let me ask you a small question that, okay, so if you want to, if you're looking for a car, what kind of prompt you will give it, right? You will say, hey, I am looking for so and so car, right? So I was looking for, and really I was looking for a EV, and I want to show you the kind of prompt I gave it, right? Okay. So, well, this is a long conversation. Okay. I'm looking to buy an EV small car to replace my i10 or Star Automatic. My requirement should carry a golf kit or two in boot, an extended boot with 40% split. Should have a range for going from Pune to Mumbai and coming back. I do that travel frequently. Should be under 10 lakh. Can't afford more than that. Being a startup founder, should be readily available. Should have a good EV charging installation support, and ask me anything before you start. Okay. So, well, I think that's what started the conversation. And if you look at it, like it asked me some questions and asked me like how many times I travel, 2 to 3 times. Do you have an open parking or a closed parking? No, it's an open air parking, etc., etc. Right? And you know what it says? Your constraints have changed the decision. Okay. I will not go into the sundry details of it. Now, there's a conversation I'm having. I've heard that EVs don't discharge much on the Pune to Mumbai run due to downhill and regenerative braking. If that's true, we don't need to charge up on the way back. Okay. I'm giving it more information. I have a driver who can find charging points. I'm comfortable to buy a petrol, small or mid car. Okay. Since it told me that, a EV will not come on a single charge back from Bombay to Pune, my conversation has also evolved with it. Okay. And then I asked it to compare a 5-year economics of EV versus petrol car with my usage pattern. Okay. And then ask me anything before you start. So, well, it again is asking a few things, right? What is my annual running petrol car? What kind of stuff you want, etc. Okay. So let me stop here. The idea is not to regale you with my search for the right car, but the idea is that if you see the detailed prompt that I gave it, I have to be very, very clear about what I am looking for as an outcome, right? And what are my constraints, what are my requirements. And if you see, while it is chatting with me, I'm not letting go of the control. If my decision is evolving to look for a petrol car, I'm saying so. My global settings ensure that the discussion is not as verbose or as long as it would have been for you if you have not taken care of these settings, right? Okay. So, this is the first hack, which is being in control. That means um, setting the settings clearly in terms of how you want it to be, and then giving the details of the context, right? Now, before I go to the next one, which is the golden question, let me bring in some audience here. I suddenly now don't feel so all alone because I can see people showing up here. Okay, so we have Monikut Sharma from Tata Hitachi India. So he was somehow, I am surprised he was not on LinkedIn, and he asked me for the Monikut, you asked me for the YouTube link. Thanks for joining. We have Manish Mehta from Pune. We have Rupal. Rupal was with me in a Thai nurture session some time back. Thanks, Rupal, for joining. Oh, wow. It's so good to see Upal Saab here, Rajesh Upal ji. So, for those who may not know him, very, very rare, he is the group CIO of Maruti Suzuki. We have Jitu, fellow golfer, ex World Bank, global traveler. Thank you, Jitu. Yes, it is so timely. Yesterday you asked me, Jagdish, I want to learn how to use AI better. Jitu, so nice that at your age, which is 60s, I believe, you're still looking at using AI, and then I immediately invited him to this session. So we have Rochna. She's a fellow BNI member. She's a branding and design consultant. Thank you, Rochna, for joining. And Manish is saying something. I'm trying to improve my stock market trading client portfolio management with AI. AI is very fast in analysis, but the problem I have right now is hallucinations with data. Oh, Manish, you have set us up absolutely for the hallucination. Okay. Okay. So now we come to the next one. Well, there is some common pattern. Did you guys observe in my in the chat I showed you about the EV car selection? It was the last sentence. If you remember it, please type it in the comments. Well, let me not wait for that. So, okay. So if you remember, do this. Meanwhile, let me go with what I have to tell you. So, many times we get derailed by AI answering your questions in a completely manner which makes you say, "Hey, Bhagwan, I was not looking for that," right? It did not misunderstand you. Please understand. We have to go into the inner workings of how these AI models work. They are not human. They converse with us like humans, but they are like data, and huge amounts of data, right? So it did not misunderstand you. It assumed, and that's what we call hallucination, and what Manish was telling. So how do you cut hallucination? Okay. I mean, sometimes when people ask me how this works, I say it's not hallucination actually. What is happening here is like this, right? Uh, Imagine you and I are like fifth class students, okay? And this chat GPT is like a multiple PhD, right? 20 times PhD, right? If you ask it 1 plus 1, okay, you expect an answer that, okay, that's 2, right? But the guy is actually multiple PhDs and he's thinking, yeah, you know what? 1 plus 1 means what 1 plus 1? If it is one proton and one electron, it's like, it will just become energy. There will be nothing left. It might say 0. Well, it does not do that because it understands us. But what I mean is that if you ask a simple question to a wise man, right, a very wise man, right, he might get confused and he might completely go off context to you. Okay. So here is the golden question. If you guys noticed it, and that golden question is, ask me anything before you start. Okay. So what you're doing is how it cuts hallucination. It basically, when you ask that question, you have asked it a certain, you have given it a certain context, asked it a question. It knows something about you based on how you have been chatting with it, but it is considering a lot more parameters when you are conversing with it. The moment you add ask me anything before you start at the end of your prompt, before you hit enter, what happens is you are not letting it assume anything. Whatever it was about to assume, it's now going to ask you, because you have said ask me, don't assume, right? And you know what assume means? Assume is making an ass of you and me. So if you don't want to allow a chat GPT or any AI, Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, etc., to not make a ass of you and me, which means I'm like, oh my God, you're hallucinating. And this guy is like, you didn't give me enough information. Okay. So, so it clarifies. Now, here is, so this has become so much of a habit for me that I have actually made a keyboard shortcut for you. Now, keyboard shortcuts we covered long back in like a personal productivity session. It's basically like, if you go to the keyboard option in your mobile, you will get some shortcuts, or you can simply search for shortcuts on the settings app of your mobile, and you can actually have 4 to 5 letter acronyms. The moment you type it, it will basically explode it into this one. So my keyboard shortcut is AIQN, which is AI question. So I type AIQN, and it becomes ask me anything before you start. Now I converted it to a shortcut because I use it so often, right? So now let's take some examples. Let's bring up some examples again. Okay. So here we are. Let me see which one I wanted to bring in. ClariTea Chat. Back to ClariTea Chat. Okay. 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 So this was this was somebody asked me for help in recommending a car because I've spent such a long time in automotive industry. People assume that that I know a lot about cars. By the way, I have my friends who are auto enthusiasts out there, whom I lean on at the back end. So it was like my friend is looking for buying the base model of a car. He's considering Maruti Fronx, Tata Punch, and Hyundai Exciter. This is for commuting and business use in Ramnagar, Nainital. Before you give a recommendation, ask me anything that will help me better, right? Look at the amount of questions it asks, right? Mileage preferences, fuel type, transmission, budget range, usage scenario, road conditions in Ramnagar, feature wish list. I mean, if I don't tell it all these things, it will probably, now I'm looking for a relative, right? But it will assume all of these things from my context and whatever it knows about me if I don't ask it explicitly to ask me things, right? I look at now it is making me do the hard work. Okay. Now now it is basically now combining my prompt with the clarification information, and it is doing a context recap for me, and it's basically giving me some options here, right? And then straight recommendations, etc., etc. Okay. So this is so just think about the number of questions it asks, and think about the number of questions it would not ask you if you don't give it that if you don't ask it that uh, um, golden question. Okay. Let me take, I can take one more example here. Okay. So where is that? Okay, no, I don't see this. Okay, let me see if I can search for it. Okay, let's see this. Okay. So, what we wanted to do was we wanted to set up a self-assessment for social groups to evaluate whether, Flock and Go is the right solution for them and I said, based on what you know about Flock and Go. Now, see, we made the assessment questionnaire ourselves. So we are not asking it to make an assessment questionnaire. Now, this is another part of being in control. The initial set of inputs in a fairly comprehensive, though unrefined manner must come from you, right? You should be clear about what you're doing, okay? And it is saying, please refine the set of questions into a scored assessment questionnaire. Can I set it up Microsoft Forms? Well, it was a voice prompt, so it has misspelled some of the things, right? We are saying that, the utility of Flock and Go increases with the complexity of the group, larger size, more number of messages, transparency, da da da. Before you go ahead and build it, do you need to know anything else? Now there are various flavors in which you can ask that golden question. You can see this, right? Well, just look at the number of questions again: weightage, priorities, scoring, outcome bands, tone of results, question style, and it has again made me do all the hard work. Now, see, think of it: the more work you are doing, the more inputs it is getting from you, the better is the output. Uh, I think it's fairly common sense, right? Okay. So anyway, Well, I continue this conversation. Generally, like, the best conversations are where you don't stop at one prompt and one answer. You basically have a conversation with it, the inputs you're getting from it. You basically think about those, and then have a reverse conversation. It's actually like a conversation between you and me when we meet, right? Okay. So let me move ahead. Let me see if there are any other questions here. Okay. So I can see my friend Manish is here. Hi, Manish. Okay. Yeah, let me take this question from Rahul. Rahul is saying the danger isn't that AI gets facts wrong, but that it delivers some errors with total confidence. Should we be pushing for uncertainty scores where the AI has to visually show us how sure it is of its answer before we read it? Well, I think if you're not sure, one of the straight hacks is make these AI tools fact check each other. So take the link of the chat, put it into Gemini, and give Gemini a prompt that, hey, here's the chat, and I'm not sure of the output. Can you do a sort of real time search and tell me whether it's give me a critique of this output, right? So now the good thing I like about Gemini is that it is from Google, so it does uh, pull information in real time from internet a lot better. That's my assumption, by the way. That's my personal feeling, and again, I'm talking from experience, not really. I can't say that that is the word, but that's my personal experience. And guys, I mean, this one is like, I'm not an AI expert. I must tell you, I don't know how to build an LLM. This is actually my experiments with AI and how I use AI and how I have kind of tried to learn, you know, um, as I said, driving an SUV and now driving a supercar. What are the brakes I need? What are the accelerator I need? How better I need to steer the car, because it can go at a super fast speed and crash you. Right? And some of your conversations with AI would have felt like a car crash, right? Okay. So now for Flock and Go, I have used this strategy for finding the right payment gateway product, assessing compliance risks, etc. Right. So give it a prompt, give it information, whatever give it your concerns, and then then ask it to give you a critique or give you the safety. I would say how to de-risk it, and then let it ask you more questions. Okay. So here is a challenge for all of you, for all my audience. By the way, no one has won it yet from me. I have taken some mini master classes, 15-minute, 20-minute kind of thing, with the smaller cohorts. So give it a detailed prompt. It can be about your business, it can be about your health, it can be about, let's say, any challenge you have in life, or maybe you want to learn something, right? Ask it for a solution. Try to give it as detailed a prompt as you can, and then ask it the golden question. Ask me anything before you start, right? And if you get less than 5 questions from any AI tool you're using, not necessarily ChatGPT, okay, you get a Flock and Go goodie. Okay. So now have the chat, send the chat link in DM. Let me be the judge whether you are trying to game the competition, or you are like really, you really asked a great question, etc. And please avoid a yes or no or a fact finding kind of question, right? It should be a really one which you would ask a friend philosopher guide. Okay. Okay. So now, okay, so good question from Jitu Bhai. He's asking Chat GPT Pro versus plain Chat GPT. So Jitu, even plain Chat GPT does the trick. Okay. Um, it might give you some limitations sometimes. I have initially tried it. Then the kind of value I was getting from it, I actually went to Chat GPT Pro, which was, I think, some 2,000 rupees per month plan. And then we read in the news that ChatGPT has now come up with an India specific plan called ChatGPT Go, I think, which is 300 rupees per month, right? So if you have a ChatGPT Pro, please cancel it and subscribe for ChatGPT Go. If you have a free ChatGPT, you can go for a ChatGPT Go, which is 300 rupees per month. However, keep using ChatGPT free until you come across a limitation it throws you just because you're on a free plan. I haven't seen anybody face constraints unless you are really heavily using it. So I use it very heavily. I'm on a Go plan, and like unless it stops me from doing anything, I'm not going on the Pro plan. Yeah, so Roshna is sharing, we had a cohort from Jagdish with this challenge. It would almost never be 5 or less than 5%. By the way, it was a smaller, more controlled, like face-to-face kind of cohort, and it was a very business-specific BNI meeting. And actually, there the challenge was bigger. I said, if anybody gets asked less than 10 questions about clarifying your business context, you'll get a sort of, a goodie from me. And because it was business and business problems and all, I think the minimum number of questions any of the AI asked about 15-20 of us was 13. Okay? So just imagine, if you are not asking the golden question, the amount of information that AI tools are imagining on your behalf. Okay. So now let's come to the third one, which is AI as a strategy coach and a critic. Okay. So what's the biggest problem with AI? I think it's the biggest problem. The biggest manifestation of this problem you see is in your social media tools, right? You watch a reel about golf and it feeds you golf, 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 golf. I happen to, on YouTube, I happen to watch, uh, a street side omelette, some exotic omelette being made by somebody, and it was really nice. I love omelettes. And the next thing I know is, even till date, uh, every day I get fed at least 3 or 4, street omelette stuff, and it has now gone to Italian omelettes and British omelettes and all. So you would have seen anywhere, like whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, what you watch is fed more to you. So basically, at the core of it, AI is a chamcha. Okay, AI is a flatterer. AI is trying to serve you what you want. Right? It's always looking for your preferences, what you like, and then basically, it's becoming a yes man. That's actually a legacy that it carries from the social media behemoths where AI was first developed, right? And that AI was actually developed for for increasing your screen time on their app, because if you like something, you will watch it more and more, right? So they will feed you what you like so that you watch it more and more, and therefore, like, they get more information about you, they can serve more ads to you, and so on and so forth, right? It's a pure business logic. If anybody wants to see how it works, so please watch a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. Yeah, it's called The Social Dilemma. It basically goes into very, very insights of how social media works and how they use the AI tools. Anyway, that's besides the point. But we must understand, again, part of being in control, you can see that all these things are like sort of interconnected. Being in control, not allowing it to hallucinate with your golden question, and then, understanding that it's a flatterer and therefore controlling it. So, now this one is a bit like prompt engineering that you would see. So you give it a role, you pose a problem, you give it as detailed a prompt as possible, ask the golden question and watch the fun, right? So, but here let's see how it works. Okay, so let me again go back to my ClariTea Chat folder. Okay, so this was, okay. So, since it's a long chat, here is what we did. Okay, so in one of the Thai cohorts, one of the Thai guru sessions, somebody just mentioned a Herfindahl index. And that got me curious, and I said, okay, let me research it with the help of ChatGPT. So it told me what is Herfindahl index, how does it work, and how does it apply in the startup context. By the way, Herfindahl index is something that's used by competition commissions across the world. Okay. Then there was an innovation diffusion theory, which was mentioned in the passing in the Guru program. And I'm aware that I have some audience here who are from Thai nurture, and therefore I'm sort of like mentioning that also. Innovation diffusion theory. I said, okay, this sounds interesting. Let me see what it is, and then I had a chat with it about innovation diffusion theory. And then we examined how Flock and Go pricing must support the innovation diffusion theory, right? Rewarding early adopters, aligning with success and all that. And then we stress tested your current pricing. So I will not go into the entire detail, but I will show you something which, from where the fun starts. Okay. So if you see the kind of questions that I'm asking, like, confirming my understanding of what it is telling me, and then I'm asking some follow-up questions. How diffusion shapes pricing by adoption stage. So, whether you are a business or a startup, I think having these kind of open conversations really works. Okay. So now think about it. Okay. Now next, okay, we are thinking of pricing for organizers. Now this was again Flock and Go. We plan to build paid communities where we'll do da da da, or pricing strategies below. Now think about it. See, this is the prompt that I'm using here to avoid flattery. Okay, I'm saying please critique it with a sharp lens of a GTM strategist and a startup mentor. Bash it up logically before you suggest our pricing strategy. So, I mean, see, you have to invite it, otherwise it will not do it. Okay, so I gave it. This is the pricing. Me and my co-founder, we spent, like, we don't need to go into detail of what it is, right? There was something like this. There was enterprise services add-on, and now it says sharp GTM critique, no mercy. Okay, and it actually made me, it really made me ashamed that, oh my god, like, I'm 53 years and I can't even think through pricing. But anyway, I mean, that's beside the point. The point is that if I ask it a very simple thing, hey, what do you think about my pricing, right? It will say, hey, this looks great, come on. It won't give you this kind of an output. Okay, so now first thing it is saying, your pricing infrastructure, not outcomes. WhatsApp as a pricing access is dangerous. Per flock pricing is misaligned. Basic plan is a dead end. Intermediate math exposes internal thinking. Premium versus enterprise has no clear breakpoint. No linkage to money made by organizers. Services add-ons are red. Come on. I mean, it's like I don't know what I'm doing, right? Okay. So now GTM red flags mentors will attack. Now think about it. Okay. Now it's saying that, okay, now this is the analysis. Before I suggest a rebuilt pricing strategy, give me some more clarity. Okay. Core wedge, organizer economics, paid community model, WhatsApp dependency, right? So I give it the clarifications, and so your ICP makes current pricing actively wrong. So now it is reconfirming it. You're charging for rent, per flock pricing, da da da. So let's okay. Now think about it. Okay, it is now aligning my pricing strategy recommendation to a diffusion aligned pricing spine. Okay, so there's a starter which is 0, growth which is this, pro, and all of that, right? Well, I think I know why I'm going through it a little faster. I don't want you to read it. Okay. Okay. So what happens? How to defend this? One last mentor style question. Okay. Well, I think this summary I did for you guys. This is just yesterday. So now this is the output you get if you are aware that this is that AI has to be given a very conscious role as a critique and a very conscious prompt to find faults. By the way, I must tell you that we did a rethink on the entire Flock and Go strategy when I gave a similar prompt. Till that time, I was having very hunky dory conversations with ChatGPT. Okay, yeah, Flock and Go is good. Yeah, it does this, it does this. Here is how you should position it. Here is how you should market it. And I think one of my pitch decks I uploaded on ChatGPT, and I said, again, I gave it a similar one, right? Bash my deck. Okay. Give me a critique. Be a hard nosed startup investor. And okay, let me talk it in Hindi. जो धोया उसने जो धोया ठीक है we basically changed the entire thing. That's when we went B2B. We went from social groups to small experience based businesses and all of that, right? Okay. Uh, Now, so this was like as a critique. Okay. Um, you can use it in a normal mode as a strategy coach. I'm just being conscious of time. I can see, guys, by the way, just keep bringing in questions. You know what? It generally happens that when your thoughts are being provoked, you actually get more questions. So please feel free to ask questions. Okay. And if there's something that you want me to kind of solve for you, any exotic problem, anything that's playing on your mind, we can actually do an interactive session here as well. Okay. Now there is a recently I came across something called a Socratic prompt. Okay. Now how Socratic prompt works is that you first ask it to bring in all the philosophies in general from everywhere. Okay, let me see if I can bring that up. Okay. Okay, I'm bringing this one up. Okay, so this is the Socratic prompt. Okay, so well, the issue we were looking at was like, so we built Flock and Go 5 years back on a certain technology stack, and now that AI is like fast tracking coding and all, and we keep having those conversations about how do we accelerate Flock and Go with AI coding, right? So this is a Socratic prompt, which is where you ask it some global questions which are specific. How do Flutter-based product builders accelerate product development using AI? How do Flutter product teams extend functionality to desktop browser interfaces? How have some of the startups pivoted from customer focus to B2B focus, especially moving from mobile first interface to desktop first interfaces? How do startups address their technical debt during such a pivot? How do startups build the necessary guardrails to improve trust in AI based coding? How do they divide the roles between AI and architects while doing it? I want you to bring in the thought leadership and experiences to answer these questions with examples as much as possible. With these insights at hand, let's develop a technical strategy for FlocknGo. I'm not asking it a question. I'm not asking it a solution. I'm saying we will develop a strategy interactively, right? For the context of Flock and Go technical strategy, I recorded this short meeting to help us go through this, wrap the best practices and experiences around this context to help us accelerate our development using AI. Please keep it brief, to the point, and paragraphical. And the golden question: ask me anything before you start. Okay. Okay. So I actually I had some challenges in uploading the recording, so I actually transcribed it and just the raw transcription I uploaded it here. Okay. Okay, and now it gives its answer. Okay, your real problem is not Flutter, React, or AI; it's uncontrolled surface area. Okay. Well, I think I shared this with my tech team, and they were like, "Okay, now this is a good place to start." Okay, so this is called a Socratic prompt, where, let's say, for example, Rochna, who's a designer, right? She can actually give names of some top designers and say, "Yeah, how does this guy think? What's his philosophy, etc., etc." Right? Bring in some collect some worldviews together, as which the advice will be in context and controlled with that kind of a selection, right? And then ask it some very open questions. So now let me also bring in, like, something called just make us ourselves aware of open questions and closed questions. Open questions are things that bring out like a very detailed answer, descriptive answer. A closed question is like, hey, are you okay? It's the answer is either a yes or no. Right? So with ChatGPT, instead of, let's say, if you want to fact check something, instead of asking it, hey, is this correct? Right? How correct is this? It might tell you that, you know what, part of it is correct, but somebody has misused that part of it to, like, to throw some nonsense at you. Okay. So okay. Well, now let's come to Jitu's question. Okay. So Jitu is asking, okay, for health related questions, have you tried it? Yes, Jitu, I was coming there. I knew this is going to come from somebody. Okay. So I wanted to, you can say, you can figure out your ailments with AI, but let's say how to diagnose ourselves with AI. Okay. Now, the only and biggest guardrail I will put there for you is never self-medicate with AI. Okay? You may want to understand it better. You may want to understand the level of risk a particular symptom is carrying for you, but never ever take a medication with the help of AI. That's a boundary that I have set for myself. Okay? So let me again share my screen and show you something. Okay, you'll find something which is very uh, pervasive, which is that golden question. I'll show you two of them. Okay. So this was like, my wife developing a sort of eyesore around her left eye and the nose. Okay. Never disclose your relationships. Dear family members afflicted by these boils on top of eyelid and neck of nose. Also, some swelling in lymph nodes. Well, the reason I went to ChatGPT was we first saw the doctor. They gave antibiotics. The antibiotics did not help. Okay, it helped the lymph node swelling, but the eyelid and nose boils did not improve, right? So it did not improve with creams and all of that, right? So before you start helping me with what's the root cause and diagnosis, please ask me anything you need to diagnose it better. Now look at the number of questions about the lesions. When did the first one appear? What came first, eyelid or nose? Pain level, itching or burning, pus discharge, has the side increased, reduced? Any new lesions? History, fever, fatigue, headache, vision normal, pain in eye movement, excess tearing, diabetes, pre-diabetes, recent illness, any immune-related condition, dental issues, medication, right? Exposure clues, Okay. Now think about it. If you are simply asking it that question with, imagine the number of things it is assuming. I'm like a broken record, which will keep telling you guys, ask that question, ask that golden question. Okay. So now think about the number of details I have given it, and um, it is asking more questions. Are all lesions on the same side? Uh, any point do you notice nose involvement? Okay. Now, after this kind of a very, very detailed conversation, it says most likely diagnosis SZO. Okay. Well, so what I did was, at this point, I realized that we need medication. So I called up our ophthalmologist friend, Dr. Pankaj Aswa. Jitu knows him, and I basically shared, articulated from this chat, summarized those symptoms, and I said, Doctor, dawa chahiye. He asked some of the same questions, same side, antibiotics not helping, which came first, some of the same questions he asked. And then he sent me a prescription on WhatsApp, and we bought the medicines, and she got better, right? I will show you something else here. I hope you guys can see my screen. Now, this is about myself. This is my knee pain. And it has been, and once again, in this case also, I eventually went to a doctor, but after knowing very well what happened, right? So I'm having pain behind my left knee, which is still not gone. That's why I'm not playing golf tomorrow, Jitubai. When sitting cross-legged for my yoga practice, what could be the reason? Okay, the golden question, right? So a few quick checks, exact spot, type of pain, when it happens, recent changes, swelling, history, right? And yeah, I say lots of golf in last 2 months, right? And it says most probable, also probable, and it says that it is related to golf, right? Okay, it has given me some solutions, and then it asked me some other question, right? And then it is like, it is now getting more and more sure about the diagnosis. uh, what is happening, these are the, and it is giving me some exercises, and it says that you don't need any medicine or therapy right now, just do these exercises, right? Well, I think there are multiple, some small little things which I keep checking at my age, which is I'm 53. I think it's important not to take anything lightly, take things seriously. But sometimes for example, I developed a small lump here. That was the next question if you glanced at it. And I was like, oh my God, like, at our age, anything abnormal is, worrisome. And again, it asked me some questions. No need to worry. Just keep rubbing it like this, and it will go in like 3 days. Okay, and it actually went in 3 days without rubbing. Okay, so let me take some more questions. Manish is asking, another issue on AI output is the repeatability of the outcome. How to address this? As for some places, unless output is deterministic, it's difficult to rely on the output. Manish, this is yes, you are absolutely right. In fact, in the last ClariTea Chat which we did in January, we covered this. So what happens is, AI and LLMs by default are actually probabilistic. They are not deterministic, right? So deterministic is like, 1 + 1 = 2. Probabilistic is, most likely 1 + 1 = 2. But if it happens to be a proton and electron, it's 0, because it will be all energy. Okay, E = mc². So if you follow some of the, what we discussed today, the golden question, right? The output will be very, very precise. It will be very, as you can see in that knee pain thing, we had before we. So the point is not to try to jump to the output right away at the beginning, but to have a conversation and clarify anything that needs to be clarified before you ask it to give you an output, right? So this is exactly what happened, right? Okay, so the next question from Rochna is the relationship privacy only applicable to health related queries or even professional ones? I think professional ones also, yes, Rochna. If I'm understanding you correctly, you are saying that those privacy settings, the privacy settings will be, if you tell it not to learn from your data, it will not learn from your data. By the way, it knows everything about you from your chats, right? Unless you delete the history. Okay. Okay. Next question from Jitu. Isn't there a danger of too much AI use and mental and social anxiety or illness? Jitu, that's absolutely a good question. The only thing is that, you will have many, many more accidents if you allow people to drive Ferraris, okay, without learning how to drive them. Okay. You can be flooded, you can get confused. So there has to be, like, the first thing, that's why I covered, was be in control, right? Don't allow AI to take control, and you be in control when you are doing more of the thinking. And what AI is doing is that getting the information, structuring it, but what it is bringing to you is completely determined by what you are asking it to do in a fairly precise manner. Okay. Okay. Now, before we are 6 minutes away, okay. Um, yeah. I want to cover that critical thinking with AI, right? So AI is only a starting point. So we must examine and validate outputs, right? So be clear about the outcome of your conversation, which you are looking at. That means you have to always be applying your mind. Many times I have seen this tendency. It has happened with me also sometimes. AI gives us a lot of output, and it, typically to increase the engagement time, it will always ask you a question or two. Next thing, do you want me to do this or do that? And that those questions are like, again, they are like so tempting that you forget to read what it has written before, and you actually say that, okay, let me ask it this thing, let it answer, then I'll read the whole thing. No, no. Read everything, question anything that doesn't make sense, ask a clarification on it, and I would say, please ignore the two questions it asks at the end of every answer. Please understand, it is like the same thing that, Instagram, you finish a reel and it will suggest you the next reel. So it is basically trying to increase your engagement time, right? And it is then trying to push you towards a higher and higher plan. Don't fall for that. Okay. Flattering nature of AI, ask it to play the critique and there that way improve your own critical thinking. Give detailed prompts, question the output with your own thinking. Avoid blind trust. Okay. So don't do what is called as a cognitive offloading, which is delegating thinking to AI and reduce our own analysis. Right. Yeah. And maybe for the 10th or 12th time, use the golden question to rule out hallucination. Okay. Now, unless there are any other questions, I want to show you guys one more thing. I want to give you a glance of it in the next 4 minutes before we conclude. And this time, let me bring in Notebook LM. Okay. Where is Notebook LM? Okay, it's not here. Uh, have you heard of Notebook LM? Have you tried it? It's actually, what I like about Notebook LM is that it is your private AI, and that's why I wanted to cover it today. Um, okay. Let me bring up my screen and then I will share it. Okay. Okay. So here we are at Notebook LM. Okay. Now this one is a interesting one. Okay. So what Notebook does? Notebook is basically sort of your private AI. I mean, there are enough videos and information. What I share here with you in ClariTea Chat is my own personal experiences. So you have three sections in Notebook LM, right? On the left side is sources. So in my sources, I have now this is the FlocknGo notebook, okay? So I have PDF, you can see PDFs are there. There is the video, which is explainer video of FlocknGo. There are some flashcards. There is my intro picture, I picked it up from somewhere. And I even have the chat GPT links here, okay? I even have uploaded my dance card here, which is what we use in BNI. Okay. And now from these sources, you can actually select which sources you want to use for bringing any of these outputs, right? So on this side is purely chat. This chat will work on your selected sources. If you select all the sources and say, ask a question to it, hey, how specifically does FlocknGo help trekking groups, right? It will consider all these sources and give you a good answer. You want to generate, you want to take an output which you want to use elsewhere. Let's say, for example, you want to create a explainer video script for, let us say, a particular segment, right? You can actually come here, you can ask it to do it and then copy paste it and use it elsewhere. However, I want to show you something which is very interesting. Okay. These are the various outputs that it can give you. It can give you an audio, video. Now wherever you see a pencil, it allows you to do some prompt for it. Wherever it does not show you the this thing, it will generate a video out of its own, so you have no control on that. Okay. Now let me see if there is something. Okay. It generates presentations for you and whole host of things. Let me see. Why don't I see other outputs? So, oh, I wish I could show you that. No, well, basically what it did was it gave me a mind map, right? I don't want to generate it now. I already had it. So it basically gives you a an explosion mind map. So I have generated. I somehow it is on my iPad, so I cannot see these outputs here. But I have like a bunch of them. We generated a bunch of them. So I'll tell you what are some of the. Since I cannot show you, let me tell you what all we generated from here. So we generated mind map. You can kind of like explode each of the nodes, and then um, and it becomes a kind of a full tree. I actually ran an experiment. I actually talked to our potential customers of FlocknGo, and I said, okay, let me make you a presentation about FlocknGo, and went with each of the nodes of the mind map, and I looked at their reaction, and they were like, wow, how did you do it? Okay. The other one I did was with all these sources, I said, okay, let's do a debate. Okay. So it generated an audio debate with a male and a female voice, where the male is kind of playing a cynic, okay, about like what nonsense, why flock and go, WhatsApp does everything, and then this lady is patiently convincing him what are the problem with WhatsApp. The new members have a blank experience, they can't see what is happening, etc., etc. And finally, at the end of 17 minutes, it manages to convince the guy that what, flock and go is definitely superior for a community experience than WhatsApp. It has also generated a 3-minute video. We have generated quiz cards. We have generated infographics, a lot of infographics. In fact, I can show you some infographics. I have another notebook for that. Let me see if I can do that. Where are the notebooks? Okay. Oh, I think it is here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, sorry. It is here that we have all these. So I spoke to a customer, and then generated a very, very customer specific presentation from a generic presentation for them. Let me show you that infographic, that this one, right? Okay. So this is my Flock and Go presentation for you. Okay. So what is Flock and Go? Okay, so let's start with the problem. The problem is a WhatsApp chaos. The chat floods, information gets buried. People mute or archive their groups, and new members get a blank experience. They don't know what has happened or what's going to happen, right? Who are our target customers? Sorry, before that, what are our key features to solve these problems? We have operational tools like shared activity calendar, RSVP management, Razorpay integration, right? And for the content and engagement, we have galleries and folders, WhatsApp alerts, polls and announcements, and FOMO dashboard. Okay, let's collapse it. Okay, so what's our core value proposition? Action, information, communication. And then what are the segments we are looking at? Target customers, that's fitness and movement, outdoor adventure, and performing arts, right? And even within those, we have those such sub segments that we are looking at. I mean, I couldn't have done it myself. Okay, so this was really interesting experiment with it. Let me see if there's something else. Well, I think there is more, but I want to make sure that we finish on time. I'm always blamed for not finishing on time, and we are already 4 minutes over. But before I close, uh, let me see if there are any questions here. Okay, so Rahul is saying AI lacks pratyaksha, direct perception of the world, and relies entirely on Shabda. single testimony. Data can a system that has never experienced a single fact with its own senses ever truly understand the difference between a truth and lie? Rahul, there are ways to look at things. We have to get the best. See, nothing is perfect in this world, So this, like, the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi. It's like, are you looking at imperfections as ugly things, or are you looking at imperfections as, like, something that can be improved upon, or are you looking at what is the perfect in the imperfect, right? So um, anything, I mean, Ferrari, if driven irresponsibly and without proper training, you are going to crash it, right? But is it a good thing? Yes, it can give you a lot of thrill. It can get you from point A to point B faster. So I am not here to judge AI. I'm here to look at it as, like, one of the tools in my armory which can help me run faster. So I'm being a little bit selfish about it, and so would I want you to be, and everyone in this chat to be selfish. Can you become a better person with it? Yes. Can you become a better business person with it? Yes. Can you become a better startup with it? Yes. Be in control. Don't let it hallucinate with the golden question, right? And make sure that you always look at it with a critical eye. Don't lose your critical thinking while you're using it. Okay, I think it's the same comment. So on that note, guys, I mean, quick wrap up. Stay in control. Do those settings which are like no nonsense settings on Chat GPT, or, like, any AI tool you have. We looked at the example of the EV selection, and how we remain in control by making sure that, like, and we keep controlling it by not allowing it to go out of control, by telling it what we want, right? We looked at the golden question, the entry level car recommendation. It asks a ton of questions before recommending something. Assessment questionnaire for Flock and Go, again, like, it asks a set of things. We talked about, like, diagnosing yourself. So eyesore, knee pain, but never ever self medicate. Okay, so everything has to have some boundaries, and one of the boundaries is, um, don't take medication without doctor's advice, right? And then we had some, we did see a lot of, I would say, examples of how to use it like a Ferrari, how to drive it like a Ferrari, and not use it as an advanced search engine, right? Many questions. Thank you, Jitu, Rochna, Manish, for all of those. And yes, before we log off, I think we have Rochna still asking questions. So let me take this last one. Okay. How many minutes a day do you spend on AI tools, both learning and using them? What would be your advice on AI related learning for intermediate level users for day-to-day usage in various aspects? So Rochna, great question. Actually, I don't spend too much time on AI tools on a daily basis. What I do is, typically, I'll first identify a problem, right? And then I'll keep thinking about it. I'll keep getting a lot of real world inputs on it. I do not go to Chat GPT unless I am very clear about what I want, how I want, and what does the output look like. So I'll give you an example. This using AI for accelerating Flock and Go development journey. It's something I have been discussing with team for a long time, and until I had, I would say, sufficient inputs and sufficient understanding of the challenges they are facing, and I had done a bit of, like, I would say, my own thought process around it as to how do we work around it. I did not go to AI. Actually, I went to AI after thinking about almost more than a month about it. Same thing with the pricing strategy. I and Mahesh have been having, like, a lot of discussions around it, and only when we were like, okay, now let's take a shot at it, because we need to put it on our website and all of that. That is when we actually did it ourselves, and we went to it for a validation. Maybe for another day. We developed explainer video for FlocknGo using a combination of ChatGPT and AI video tool. And you won't believe the amount of chat we did to refine the script, to find the tool, to even get the script emotions and wordings right. We had the first version out. We actually uploaded it back on ChatGPT and said, okay, now critique it. Okay, give us improvement ideas. And after I think 2 or 3 iterations, we did it. So see, those themes that I have written in my, this thing is they are absolutely, they're absolutely what I practice. Be in control, use it as a coach, generate an output, come back, generate an output, come back, iterate with it. Okay. And make sure that you are the one who's doing the thinking. This is the guy who's providing information, structuring that information for you, bringing you different perspectives on it, critiquing it for you. But you are the one who's in control. You're the one who's not taking flattery for an answer. And you are the one always asking the golden question and making sure that, it does not give you relevant information. Okay, on that note, thank you everybody for participating and asking some great questions. Great to see my friends there and my fellow Thai, startup friends there. And last but not the least, I know a lot of people watch a recording of it. Okay, and so anybody who's watching a recording as I'm speaking, maybe a day later or 2 days later, thank you to you too. And thank you everyone. Bye bye. Have a great weekend.